Public input. We do have a couple of representatives here this evening. Assemblyman Soretto, is there something you wish to address us with?
Yes. Okay, so John Soretto, 685 Cuga Drive, Lewiston, New York. Before I came here, I stopped at the town of Lewiston on a subject that you're addressing tonight, and Supervisor Bob Cliff and your attorney Bob O'Toole has been in contact with my office. We've been working together on the biosolids, the spreading of biosolids, which would require local law as far as or statutory law, home rule. And like I said, we're working together, but you need first, when you do statutory law with home rule, you have to have a motion from the town board, and it would be specifically for your town. So, like I said, I know that Lewiston has a moratorium. They're going through a second one now. So I gave them another suggestion and kind of said that town of Wheatfield is interested in this. In fact, it's on your agenda, and I'm ready, willing, and able to carry that for the town of Wheatfield. And I was offering Lewiston as well. So I just want to say that I support you guys on this endeavor. I'll fight this in Albany. I'll do whatever I can to make this happen. For the betterment and the health and safety of our neighborhoods. And as a home rule, I particularly like it because it comes from the residents. And there's no other better government than a town board or local level, because you're the voice of the people. You truly are, and you're the heartbeat. So I'm going to carry that to make that happen. In this case, the statutory law supersedes local law. So I'm hoping that it gives you the teeth that you need to fight this battle. So thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. Legislator Dave Godfrey, do you want to jump in at this point? Anything?
Well, not a lot to talk about the county right now. A couple things that did come out just recently. You know, we've been working on broadband and get out in all of our rural areas throughout both Niagara and Orleans County. This past week, had the opportunity to meet with the governor's staff, specifically on the funding, on where the funding's coming from. We know the governor's put out another $500 million toward this initiative. There's a 50-50 match by the governor. That hasn't yet quite totally been defined, but one thing we did learn was kind of a surprise, had to do with the smart school funding. That's a $2 billion proposal that was the Proposition 3 in November that was passed. $2 billion bond to advance broadband. Come to find out, those funds being distributed to the school districts are not matching funds, but reimbursable funds. So the schools, I don't know if they all realize this yet, if they're going to take advantage of the smart school funds, they literally have to put the money up front. They first put forth a plan that has to be approved by a review board of the governor. They implement the plan with their own funds and then apply for the reimbursement. So that was kind of a surprise to us, which is kind of going to complicate the funding, because we were looking to have the schools use some portion of the smart school to reach out to the last child with that high-speed rural broadband down to the unserved areas. So we got a lot of work to do. I know Councilman Callaway gets very involved in it. We're as two counties very near of actually looking at the 4 vendors that have responded to our RFP. Hopefully within a month or so, we'll go through some interview processes, pick that vendor, and hope that our schools will join us in selecting that vendor. And Dr. Clark Godshell, BOCES, Superintendent of BOCES, has also offered his assistance to help the schools and the communities get the funding they need to reach that last child. Long story short, there was a couple of surprises in there we really weren't quite happy with, but we've got a lot of work to go and work through those.
Okay.
Other than that, our lake levels are frozen, so we're not worried about those right now.
Literally, yeah.
Any questions other than that?
Thank you, Dave. Thank you. I guess we'll open up to public input. Brian, anybody?
and this is not about Quasar, but driving around the last few weeks, it came to me that if you people could talk to your friends in the county and the state, and even your friends in Washington, to free up some money for the infrastructure. The country's falling apart, and as we drive around, we see it, and look at the water main breaks. So what if we have a little more debt? Let's keep the country going. It's just, we're turning into a third world country.
Thank you. Anybody else, Brian?
Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to first say thank you to Paul Sigmund and his crew, because I think he's done a wonderful job keeping the roads clear during all the snow. It's terrible, but they did a really good job. I was wondering if anything is going on with Cobblestone, if you've heard anything, if Wendell's heard anything, if it's still at a standstill.
It's in the hands of the developer at this point. The developer did send us a letter asking for those developments that they wanted us to consider for the traffic survey. And we did respond back to that. That's the only thing that I've seen so far.
The only other thing is they did send us copies of letters to the principal at Eric Road School and the superintendent of schools requesting a meeting where the town would also be present, because that was one of the things that was requested in the scoping document.
Has that been set up yet?
No.
No.
Okay. And the other thing I noticed on the agenda, there isn't anything written about the master plan for the green space. I thought at the last meeting that was going to be brought up for a motion tonight.
I didn't do that. I guess I wasn't clear that that was going to be considered this meeting. If the board chooses, I guess we could do it at the next meeting, if you want to or you want to.
Okay.
I think we were waiting for further comment from the master plan task force. I'm not positive about that, but
Okay.
I think we may have been.
All right. Thank you.
The next step is a public hearing on that anyway, right? That's a change in the task force.
Well, it's not a code thing.
Good evening. First of all, I just wanted to thank you for the last meeting that you reacted so quickly regarding reaching out to Senator Ort and Assemblyman Serrato regarding home rule. And I really appreciated that, and obviously they got right on it, so hopefully that will come to fruition very quickly. I just had a couple of quick things. I wanted to know if there's a date set for the Niagara County court date from the change of venue for Erie County.
No, judge has not been assigned as far as any of the attorneys know.
Okay, and then regarding the remediation policy or ordinance or amendment, I should say, are we in a holding pattern on that?
We're in a holding pattern on that based upon the recommendation of our environmental attorneys.
Okay. All right, that's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that it, Brian? Anybody else on any subject? If not, then we will move on. By the way, you mentioned Senator Ort. I have not heard back from the senator yet, but I believe John's been in touch with him. For the record, we have 4 members present. Art Gerbeck is traveling on business and will not be able to be here this evening. We do have an approval of minutes. The minutes are from February 9th. Does anybody wish to move the minutes in for approval?
So moved.
Second. Moved by Larry and second by Gil. Anything on the question? Any changes you'd like to make? If not, then all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's approved. We do have a bill payment. The total is $246,804.22. That's for vouchers 2015-111 through 207. I need a motion to be able to pay these bills.
So move.
Okay, moved by Randy, I need a second.
Second.
Second by Gil. Any bills you wish to hold? If not, then all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's approved. Departments, Paul Sigmund, you and your guys have been pretty busy. What else?
I'm actually gonna start this, stormwater meetings up again, drainage meetings. You wanna see if I can change the night, we usually do it on a Wednesday night. I gotta get hold of people on the committee and see if we can change it to a different day of the week. I'll do that.
It gets hard for the board members because we have so many meetings in between, but
That's, I gotta get a hold of you and find out if there is an open day. The other thing is, I know there ain't many places to put snow right now, but if you can keep from plowing it and leave it in the middle of the road, I mean, it's hard to keep the roads cleaned out, the salt isn't working very well right now with the temperatures we have, but there's nothing worse than we get a road cleaned off and somebody with a snowplow dumps it all back in the middle of the road. I know banks are high, it's hard to see. If we get complaints about specific areas, we will come out with a loader and try to clean the corner up if we can. We only got one loader running right now, so I mean, it takes a while to get to certain places. That's about all I got.
okay. Anything?
I did hear that the state was trying to clear off the Niagara Falls Boulevard. Are they doing any of that in the town of Wheatfield?
No, not that I've seen. If there was some, I didn't see them around in our area at all.
Anything else for Paul? Thank you, Paul. Neither of you guys here from Water Sewer?
Well, actually, Rich Donner spoke with me today. He's on his way back from Denver, and he did ask that I say, mostly for the benefit of the press, in this extremely cold water, in cold weather situation, residents might benefit from having their water at least dripping some. It may help prevent some pipes from freezing. That's the recommendation of the Water Sewer Department.
Yeah, this past weekend, we had 7 separate places where water froze. I think most of them were at the road, the town's connection, and our guys were out on several occasions trying to get those things heated up and going again. In a couple of cases, they couldn't get it going and had to use hoses from the neighbor's house, so it is what it is, I guess. As cold as it is, it could continue getting worse. Recreation, Mike Rinaldi.
Good evening. I don't have too much tonight, just a little recap of last week's February break camp. We actually averaged more than we did last year. We averaged like 22 kids a day, so that exceeded last year by like 15 or 20. There's a little discrepancy on the numbers, but the numbers don't match from at the youth center and our numbers, but I think it's pretty accurate. Our lettering is up at the youth center and at the community center, so now people will know which building is which. Our next Nerf night at the youth center is March 13th. So my guy,
senior citizen Nerf night?
it's for kids 5 to 12.
Shucks.
I get a lot of questions about an adult version of that. It's funny. And I do.
I think everybody wants to see me in there and shoot at me. But
The guys got out today and braved the elements and got the ice rink cleared off, so if we can dodge the snow they're kind of predicting tomorrow, it'd be good for the rest of the week, would be awesome. So it's tough to keep up with. It gets choppy and then you kind of got to resurface the whole thing. And we also, the last thing is we kind of just tweaked our closing procedure at the youth center. We used to follow the school district, so when the school district was closed, we would close. And, you know, with the cold temperatures, we don't have bus stops, we don't have kids that walk. We want kids to come in our building, so if you want to go outside and brave the elements, bring your kid to our center, we will keep our doors open, especially at night like tonight. You know, 400 feet away, there's a board meeting, we all came out, so I figured we would stay open. So we will use the school as kind of like a barometer, but, you know, ultimately we'll make the final decision if we're going to stay open or closed. That's all I got.
You are closed, you posted on the website?
We will post on the website, and we got a newsletter that we're starting to send out. We'll also send out newsletters and We'll contact everyone for any program that we're running. We'll contact them, at least via email, text message, or phone call, whatever their preference was. But we'll get the word out. So it's a lot easier to get the word out because they're kind of used to us being closed when the school was closed, but it's starting to come full circle where we can kind of dictate that now.
Okay. Anything for Mike?
Just
Thank you.
congratulations on your new baby daughter.
Thank you.
Okay, building inspector, Mike Locke.
Nothing too exciting happening right now, a little cold out there for most builders. But I want to touch base on, Gil was involved with Mike and I the other day at the community center with the ongoing ice scanning situation. And the representatives of Wendell come out and to look with us as far as maybe some remedial work we can done to kind of correct that. I think we left off now that we're going to, I think Gil was there this again. Talk about getting some access holes up in there, try to figure out where we're going as far as where it's leaking, why it's leaking, and maybe come up with a plan that's either going to be corrective and maybe in addition to, so it doesn't happen again. This is I don't know how many years in a row like this has happened, but it's been a real hazard back there. So, and of course it's been extreme, but we're going to try to figure something out over the next couple of weeks so that it doesn't happen again over the next year. Again, nothing too exciting in the building department. It's cold in that basement, I'll tell you that. Those windows are terrible.
Yeah.
Other than that, I'm going to Florida next week. Sorry, guys.
Well, actually, the Niagara County Legislature is going to be segregating out some casino money and giving it back to the towns. And maybe that's some money that could be used to put some decent windows around this building, because a lot of these windows are single pane windows. And you're going to pay for it one way or the other. Maybe it's time to get them replaced. So, wouldn't hurt to do some homework on that.
I got an energy auditor coming in tomorrow through NYSERDA.
Yep.
We're going to get an idea what they say too as far as what plans are available. Usually might be subsidies, not grant money. How that might fare in.
That would be a real good use of casino money. Okay, thank you, Mike. Bridget, anything? Anything for Bridget? Arlene is not here, so we are up to Wendell. Tim?
So I'll start with the planning board report. There were 2 meetings in February. The first meeting was a joint meeting with the planning board and town board. They met in the beginning to review part 1 of the short environmental assessment form for the Shawnee Clemmer subdivision. For the proposed, that's a 5 single-family residential lot subdivision. They talked about several items, and the planning board provided the town board with a background of the project's history, as well as information from the review they completed. There was no action taken at the planning board meeting, but I believe the town board did pass a negative deck on that at the last meeting.
Correct.
As a follow-up from that work session. The agenda item on that meeting, February 4th, was a sketch plan for the Horizon Village Young Adult Facility. Horizon is proposing to construct a new single-story, 16,880 square foot young adult facility on Indicon Drive East, just north of the existing building that houses the Niagara County IDA. The facility would be on the opposite side of Indicon Drive East from the existing Horizon Village facilities. It would be a 25-bed facility, which would require a special use permit to operate at this location. The applicant was advised of several items to review on their formal site plan submittal, and no action was taken on that. And then there was one agenda item on the February 18th planning board meeting, and that was a site plan for 2074 Lockport Road. It's the former Niagara Ministries building on Lockport Road. That would be just west of the viaduct by Walmore. The applicant proposes to reuse the existing building to house 2 contracting companies, Gaines Electrical and Niagara Plumbing and Mechanical, and an attorney's office. Site plan is required there due to a change in use. I don't believe they're planning on any changes to the building or site. It's just a change in use, so it requires a site plan. The applicant was advised of several items that remain to be addressed, including transmittal of material to the Fire Advisory Board and to the local fire department, and submittal of a boundary survey. No action was taken on that. That is the planning board report. And then we have just one motion for the town board's consideration, and that is to authorize Wendell to provide the support services for GIS implementation during 2015. This is an annual request that we put in front of the town board. And in accordance with our proposal dated February 18th, it's broken down into two pieces: a lump sum fee of $2,600, which covers the WMA site hosting and maintenance, basically hosting the GIS site on our servers and maintaining that website with updated county parcel information, etc. And then there is a time and expense not to exceed portion of $7,400 for different support services that the water and sewer department uses to update water and sewer information on that site. Last year we did not spend all of that time and expense authorization. Last year there was a total of $5,227.50 spent out of that $10,000 authorization. So it just depends on what the town needs from.
Okay. Does anybody wish to make a motion to that effect at this point?
I'll make that motion.
Moved by Randy. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Larry. Anything on the question?
Just to reiterate what Tim said, out of the 10,000, last year we only spent $5,227, so it's just, you know, they charge for the hosting and how much usage the water and sewer department use on that. It's well worth it. I have GIS up on my screen every board meeting. It comes in handy.
Okay. Anything else? If not, then all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's approved, Tim.
That's all we have unless the board has any questions for us.
On that Shawnee Clemmer, do we know what's next? Do we need a public hearing on that, or is it back to the planning board first?
Yeah, there's going to have to be a public hearing scheduled, but I don't know if the planning board did a formal recommendation on that yet. If not, then the public hearing has to be scheduled.
I don't think it's.
I'm not sure we didn't do that. Well, let me see. We might have done that at the last meeting. I think we did, actually.
Well, it would be on the minutes.
What, public hearing?
Yeah, a motion
No,
for
I
a
guess
public
we
hearing.
did.
I don't
Maybe
think so.
No, I guess we didn't. Okay.
Because I think there's some.
Yeah, a public hearing for March 9th
Okay.
at 7:15 to discuss Shawnee Clemmer.
So that's next.
The planning board must have already recommended preliminary plat approval, so you gotta have the public hearing. Once you have the public hearing, then the town board can,
Even though it's only 5 houses.
correct, it's still a major subdivision, so after the public hearing, the town board can decide on the preliminary plat. Once you approve the preliminary plat, then they have to prepare the final construction drawings and final plat, because there'll be drainage, rear yard drainage and things that have to be installed, water and sewer services, so that stuff has to be submitted. And then there'll be another motion, a recommendation from the planning board to approve the final plat.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to regular motions. Bob, you got a long-winded one to start.
I do. First one, and I'm not going to read it. This is the home rule message. And I want to say for the record that the town board, the town of Wheatfield's position is that we already have and we have exercised our statutory authority to already adopt the biosolids law. We think that's authorized under existing state law, but we think that further confirmation of that right would be helpful. So I'm going to read the last 2 paragraphs, but the whole motion would be the entire motion. Based on the foregoing, the Town of Wheatfield Town Board has found it necessary and has already found it necessary to exercise its express statutory authority under Municipal Home Rule Section 10 and Environmental Conservation Law 27-0711 to adopt Local Law 3-2014 as amended to date in order to protect the public health, safety, and welfare of the residents of the Town of Wheatfield. Therefore, the Town Board supports state legislation which reinforces the existing right of the Town of Wheatfield and other municipalities in New York State to prohibit the application of biosolids to land within the respective towns to protect the health, safety, and welfare of town residents.
Okay, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Gil, second by Larry. Anything on the motion? If I could say, Assemblyman Soretto, thank you very much for your action on this and your continuing action going ahead. I did reach out to Senator Ort through Scott Kodrowski. I have not gotten a response back yet. I know that you have, but let's make sure that they're aware of this if I'm not able to get through to them.
When I was in Albany 2 weeks ago, I talked to Senator Ord, and he said he carried it in the Senate, so,
Great.
my office is going to be working with, Wheatfield and Senator Ord's office together to carry it. We're going to get it done. Usually home rules, take action in June, but the timeline that's submitted is now.
Okay, great. And if there is other wording changes that you need, your office or you can certainly work with Bob O'Toole and make sure we get the right wording that you're seeking. Okay. Anything further on the question? If not, then all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That is approved.
Next is to approve a letter of commitment for a grant in conjunction with the Western New York Stormwater Coalition.
I'll go ahead and move. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Randy. Tim, maybe you could explain to the folks what that's all about?
Sure. So, the Western New York Stormwater Coalition is a group of, I believe, 41 municipalities in Erie and Iron County that work together to meet the stormwater regulations. The coalition as a group applies for grants, whether it's through New York State, most of them have been through New York State or the federal government, to advance stormwater treatment, stormwater handling, drainage, et cetera, in Erie and Iron County. A couple years ago, the coalition got a relatively large grant. I don't remember the amount, I believe it was over $1 million, to map the storm sewer catch basins, manholes, and outfalls within the MS4 areas, which is a defined area that puts certain responsibilities on the towns that have MS4 areas within them. MS4 stands for Municipal Separately Owned Storm Sewer. Every census, the MS4 areas are defined by census tracts that have a certain population density. So every time the census is updated, the MS4 areas are updated. And so based on the 2010 census, there were many towns within the coalition where the MS4 area expanded. And so this grant that they're applying for is to continue that mapping into the expanded MS4 areas. And so if they get a grant, it's a good deal for the town because it's, they get the storm sewer mapped in these areas. So that's what it encompasses.
Thank you. Anything further on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's approved.
Final motion is to schedule a public hearing for March 23rd, I guess at 7:15, for a proceeding to condemn a drainage easement over lands owned by Dwayne and Deborah Denery concerning the public use, environmental impact, and impact upon residents concerning the condemnation for a drainage easement over certain identified lands. The town board had already expressed a willingness and interest to do this. This is sort of jumping through the required legal hoops with respect to notification.
Okay, does anybody wish to make the motion? This is a motion for a public hearing. This
Yes.
is not a motion to proceed.
I'll make that motion. Second.
Moved by Randy, second by Larry. Anything further on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
What time?
7:15. Unless we have another 7:15, I'll say that. Okay, I think I heard 4 yeses, so I'm going to assume that that's unanimous, and we'll move on. That's the end of motions?
We will do an executive session at the end of the meeting.
Okay. Board member items. Councilman Helwig.
Just reading a couple items here in our attorney packet. Bob O'Toole mentioned something about health examinations for, I think those are for the firemen?
Well, it's both, we've done it both for the firefighters, the firematics examinations, which are fairly extensive,
New employees?
as well, new employees and employee drug testing. People didn't know, we do randomly test town employees on a regular basis.
And I think you told me it's been about 3 years since we've last bid this, so it's probably appropriate that we solicit some extra prices to
I'll
do
put
it again.
something together.
Okay. And you also, in your packet, mentioned the Time Warner franchise agreement.
Yep.
And just some numbers. I'm a numbers guy. Our 2014 budget had $205,000 budgeted for Time Warner franchise. And I think we just got the numbers in our mailbox here this week that finished the 2014 numbers, and we received $214,509. So we were about $9,000 more than what we budgeted, which I guess is good. 2015 we budgeted $210,000, so we're expecting close, if not more, than what we received this year, I guess. So that's one benefit of the franchise agreement. But Bob O'Toole was asking whether we wanted a committee or how we want to tackle the the new agreement. And I don't know that last time we had a committee was probably 20 years ago.
It was a while.
15, 20 years ago. But that was the first franchise agreement. I don't know that we need to get a whole committee, but it probably wouldn't hurt to put it on the website, ask the citizens. And we can't control rates, so if you can argue that they're charging us too much, but franchise agreement, we have no control over what they're going to charge you for HBO or any of the other rates. But maybe we can convince them that we need to package things a little different, or
There's certain things we do have control over.
I think they were providing us with cable TV drops for some of our fire halls and that, so we want to make sure that whatever we were getting in the old, we still at least have in the new, so that we're not losing anything. So we'll look at that. Maybe we'll post it on the website, see if there's any concerns. I know it was probably about 4 years ago we caught that error. A resident on Town Line Road was questioning why my cable bill, I live in the town of Wheatfield, why does my cable TV bill say the town of Pendleton? And we found out it was about a $40,000 error, that our cable franchise bills were being sent to the wrong town. And, it's one citizen coming to our, questioning us on, why the dollars are looking different than what we think they should be, and we took action and we got the money back. So posting it on the website is probably a good thing. Probably if there's something out there that people want, we can include it in. And I think that's all I have for now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Larry. Councilman Doucette.
Nothing.
Councilman Retzlaff.
I have nothing.
And I also have nothing this evening. So our next meeting is March 9th at 7:30 p.m. Do we have any preliminaries? Nothing noted here, Kath?
Yeah, Shawnee Clemmer.
7:15 would be the public hearing on Shawnee Clemmer. We do want to have an executive session. We can hold that after we go through public input. Yes.
Larry, Eric's not here. Can I get the fire board?
By all means. Sorry, I didn't think of it before.
Just quickly from the fire board, I got a quick handout. The fire board met on February 2nd. Again, as Wendell alluded to, there's not a lot of building projects going on in town, but we're looking at a couple of years, not moving so fast. In regard to Shawnee Clemmer, we reviewed that several months ago, and because of the whole design of Shawnee Clemmer, there's not a lot of effect to the current hydrants are in place. We're spending some time now. We got into what we thought was going to be a small project, and it's kind of getting a little bigger as we look into it in regards to
our examination of access points and things like that, the way it's currently written in town code, regards to subdivision. So we're currently working on that. Our next meeting is scheduled for next Monday, the 2nd at 7:30. Somewhat separate from the fire board, and only because of timeliness, I'd like to speak to the town board a little bit about a proposal that's currently in front of our county legislature that has drawn concern from the fire and emergency services across their county. And that's the package I just handed out quickly. I apologize, I had an email from earlier. Little background, in November the governor signed a bill that's basically a home rule bill with regards to fireworks that allows counties to act on the legalization of certain fireworks within the county. Niagara County is one of the first counties that's been approached by the fireworks industry to consider a county resolution. It's currently on the docket. It's most likely going to be voted on next Tuesday night in front of the county legislature. It's Resolution IL-030-15. It's included in the packet. And again, what this would do is allow the sale of certain fireworks that some people want to deem as safe within here in Niagara County during certain parts of the year. First of all, a little background in regards to the organizations against it. The County Fire Chiefs Association, County Firemen's Association, County Fire Police Association, the Niagara County Fire Advisory Board, and the Niagara County Emergency Medical Services Council have all come out against this. Here in our town, and again, there's a timeliness issue, so it has missed, or has not come in front of all the meetings, but I know Frontier Fire Company and Burkles Fire Company have all gone on record against this. On the state level, the Firemen's Association of the State of New York and the New York State Association of Fire Chiefs are also against this, and they're actively promoting not passing this permissive legislation across the state. The fireworks we're talking about, typically, again, they want to deem them as safe fireworks, but I want to tell you, all fireworks are dangerous. All fireworks are dangerous. Within the own resolution put on by our county and mentioned by the state law that was passed, mentions NFPA Standard 1124 that regulates the sale of fireworks for consumer use, the storage of fireworks for consumer use. And what the NFPA is, the National Fire Protection Association. That's an organization that sets standards for the fire service across, not only the fire service, but industries across the nation, and they're deemed to be experts. That own Standard 1124 that regulates the storage and sale of these consumer fireworks across the country has a caveat right at the beginning that says that NFPA is strongly against the use of consumer fireworks. The only reason they wrote the standards is because they know that people are using them, so even though they're against them, they still put a standard out there to try to regulate it as much as possible. And they say consumers shouldn't be using it because people aren't trained, people are going to get hurt. They should go see fireworks shows, and our town board spends a lot of money to provide a fireworks show for our town residents. Just to give you an idea, that same FPA put a study out in 2013 based on 2011 injuries. In 2011, there were 9,600 fireworks injuries across the country. All right, 8 out of 9 of those fireworks injuries that went to emergency rooms were fireworks that were regulated and allowed for sale in all the states. So it's not people getting hurt at fireworks shows; it's by consumer fireworks. 54% of those injuries are burns. The stuff we're talking about for sale, and it's sparklers, fountains, and novelty items. In that year, 34% of those injuries were caused by those items. So these safe fireworks, 34% of the injuries are caused. And 26% of the victims were kids under 15, and 34% of those 34% of injuries, 34% of those are preschool kids less than 5 years old. And what do those little kids do when they see a sparkler? What are they going to do with that sparkler? They're going to grab it. The people that came and lobbied for this in front of our county legislature, the only people from outside or from inside Niagara County are against it. Everybody that's for it is coming from the outside. It's people from the fireworks industry who are going to benefit from this. At one point, they tried to say, it's okay that people get hurt from these fireworks because a lot more kids get hurt on bicycles and playing soccer, which I think is a crime to say. A sprained ankle from a bicycle fall or a broken toe maybe from soccer is gonna heal, not a third-degree burn. So again, I just want to present this information to you, possibly for the board to consider a motion to urge our county legislature to vote no against this resolution.
Thank you, Mark. Art?
Yeah, I would just like to add one thing on that. You know, years ago, we had sparklers and stuff like that, but we were supervised by parents. This day and age, how many kids are supervised by the parents now when they're using that kind of stuff? They're not, and they're, you know, they're careless and they're just not safe to, you know, use like that. So, yeah, I was at that public hearing at the legislature, so. That's right, the only ones that spoke for it are ones that are selling the stuff.
If I heard you correctly, Mark, you said that the temperature of a sparkler is 1,200 degrees?
Yeah, to give you an idea, and I didn't want to take too much of time, but the research that I did leading up to this, give you some ideas, and it really is an eye-opener. Typical wood, untreated wood burns at 573 Fahrenheit. Cotton, which most of our clothing is cotton, burns at 752 degrees Fahrenheit. Glass, our glass panes here will melt at 900 degrees Fahrenheit. Wool, and if you go out in the industry, somebody wants to buy something that's fire retardant clothing, typically it's a wool product, burns at 1112 degrees Fahrenheit. The tip of a sparkler starts out at 1200 degrees Fahrenheit, which is enough to cause a third-degree burn. Fires, just quickly, on a typical 4th of July, 2 out of 5 fires across the country are started by fireworks on the 4th of July. And that's when they want to sell these, is during the 4th of July, when the peak of injuries and fires.
Well, I think I'd like to go on record supporting our firemen, supporting our fire advisory board, and moving to urge that the Niagara County Legislature vote against the legalization of fireworks here in at least the town of Wheatfield. So that's a motion. Does anybody wish to second that motion? Does anybody wish to second the motion?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, Randy, a
I'll second the
second.
motion.
Moved and seconded. Anything on the question? If nothing on the question, then all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. I heard 4 ayes. That's approved unanimously. So, Dave, you can take that to the legislature on our behalf, if you would.
I would also request possibly a quick letter go out to our 3 legislators so they're all aware of it. I know Mr. Godfrey's here, just so Ms. Lance and.
Okay, we'll take care of that tomorrow.
Our town clerk probably can send an email with the
Certified motion.
certified motion.
Thank you.
Excellent. Okay, where are we?
I'm sorry, one last thing, and I apologize. Tie in with the winter weather, again for the press, and I know it's been out there before, but any help the residents can give in the town, and the water's been going out and doing some work, and the fire company's been out, but keeping fire hydrants. It's a losing battle right now. Unfortunately, you dig it and get a good wind and it goes back in. So any help the residents can do to help out, you know, again, the fire service and town employees are doing their best. Very difficult task right now.
Good reminder, because in our last bill pay that we just paid tonight, Richie Donner's not here, but in the bill pay, I think he was buying another 50 or 100 marker extensions for the fire hydrants. So he bought another 50 or 100 extension markers, so sometimes you see those poles sticking up out of the snow, but there's a fire hydrant underneath the snow that it's connected to.
There was a rumor on Channel 2 News tonight that it's going to be 34 degrees on Sunday. Yeah. What that means, it will never have gotten above freezing during the month of February. It's been a tough year. We're back to public input. Is there anybody who wishes to speak on any subject? Go ahead.
A few weeks ago, when I saw that you awarded the bid for CRA as backup to Wendell, I requested that you request from the town, or from the planning board, that they start putting in the, applicant and the consultant in the, meeting minutes. I just wondered if you had done that. And the reason I bring that up is because Quasar, one of their consultants, is CRA, and then, you know what I mean, just to avoid any conflicts of interest. So I wondered if you had had any communication with the planning board on the way that they take the minutes and putting in both the applicant as well as the, consultant that they're using at the meetings.
I think it's on there, isn't it, Tim? It's been a while since you've been involved.
It's not always in the planning board, the ones that are posted online.
Yeah, 'cause the form
'Cause-
they give us, there's a spot here for architect, engineer,
Right.
and, developer.
Maybe that's not the one that's actually posted, though.
Right, the one that's posted will say like Shawnee, Clemmer subdivision, or Horizon, something.
The planning board notes that they take on each subject does have the consultant.
But to post it on the minutes that's on the website, that's what, you know, so if you're not able to make it to the meeting, then you know, can see who the players are.
Right.
Right, it's just adding the lines. And if you look at some of the other planning board minutes that are posted online for different towns, like I can tell you Clarence, one for sure, there were two other ones that I looked at, they always post who the applicant is, not just like Shawnee Clemmer, but is like, you know, Joe Smith, and then represented by his architect, you know, Tim Zuber, or whomever it is, or Tim Walk. Okay?
Right.
Thank you.
Anybody else on any subject? If not, then we'll entertain a motion to go into executive session. Bob, I believe we want our town engineer in that session?
Yeah, this is contractual negotiations, with Wendell, so it's a strict negotiating session. It would be, town board, town attorney, town clerk, and town engineer.
There is an outside chance that action could be taken afterwards, but it's not very likely tonight. So with that, I'll entertain the motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Moved by Randy, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Gil. Anything on the question? All in favor? Aye. Any